Can we build an Oath of Redemption Paladin from D&D in Elden Ring? Absolutely. But is it any good? Check this out. Hello everyone, I am Slightly.Lost and welcome back to a series where I attempt to recreate D&D subclasses using Elden Ring's mechanics as respectfully and accurately as possible. So if you've never played D&D before, Paladins are the holy warrior. As quoted from the player's handbook, they are united by their oaths to stand against the forces of annihilation and corruption. Whether sworn before a god's altar, in a sacred glade before nature spirits, or in a moment of desperation and grief with the dead as the only witnesses, a paladin's oath is a powerful bond. The Oath of Redemption sets a paladin on a difficult path, one that requires a holy warrior to use violence only as a last resort. Paladins who dedicate themselves to this oath believe that any person can be redeemed and that the path of benevolence and justice is one that anyone can walk. These paladins face evil creatures in the hope of turning their foes to the light, and they slay their enemies only when such a deed will clearly save other lives. Paladins who follow this path are known as Redeemers. While most of their unique spell list doesn't translate from D&D very well into Elden Ring, I did hone in on the fact that they get access to the sleep spell, and decided that this would be more of a status effect paladin. We're really drifting away from the redemption aspect, but pacifism isn't something that is easily done in Elden Ring. To start off, we'll be selecting the Confessor starting class. Most paladins feel right at home with this starting class, so it only makes sense that we continue this trend. At level 50, you'll want 22 Vigor, 22 Endurance, 18 Strength, and 22 Dexterity. This focuses survivability and the necessary levels for wielding our weapon of choice in the early game. We also don't plan on placing any more levels into Strength at this point. At level 100, you'll be at 40 Vigor, 40 Endurance, 30 Dexterity, and 20 Faith. Now we can cast most of our desired spells, and we're seeing better damage numbers from our weapon. At level 150, you'll need 50 Vigor, 23 Mind, 50 Endurance is the cap, 40 Dexterity, and 30 Faith. This is more of the same, we're just seeing better damage numbers from our weapon and our aggressive spells. Finally, at level 200, your final stat spread will be 60 Vigor, 23 Mind, 50 Endurance, our 18 Strength that we needed, 60 Dexterity, and 50 Faith. This gives us the most ideal survivability and damage numbers, plus a decent amount of mind and endurance to use our chosen Ash of War and spells more regularly. In terms of equipment, we'll be using the Nagikiba with the Keen Affinity and the Double Slash Ash of War as our unique Divine Smite motion. We'll have the Scorpion Kite Shield, but we'll be removing its starting parry Ash of War so we can have access to Double Slash at all times. Since the spells we've chosen don't have a seal that buffs them in any way, our starting Finger Seal is good enough for us. The armor I chose for this build wasn't necessarily chosen because it matched any particular Redemption Paladin vibe, but they matched together pretty well. I've chosen the Black Knight Helm, Malekith's armor, the Malformed Dragon Gauntlets, and the Knight's Cavalry Greaves. This gives us a total of 56 poise. For our talismans, we're trying to boost our damage in any way we can. We'll have the Erdtree's Favor +2 for a little extra HP, stamina, and equip load. Then we'll have the Kindred of Rot's Exaltation to increase our damage whenever there is poison near. Millicent's Prosthesis to increase our damage with successive attacks and give us 5 extra points into Dexterity. And the Taker's Cameo to restore HP upon kills, which, if we let the poison we'll be doing do its thing in large groups, this can happen frequently. In our Wondrous Physic, we have the Thorny Cracked tier to boost our damage with successive attacks, and the Opaline Hard tier to increase our damage negation against all types by 15% for a short time. Our Great Rune of choice will be Radahn's Great Rune for an additional 15% increase to HP, FP, and Stamina, all of which are always helpful. Lastly, before we show off how the build plays, the most important part, our spells. We'll be using Heal as our Lay on Hands equivalent. We have Poison Armament as our quote-unquote unique Divine Smite. Shadow Bait as a way to distract enemies while we poison them. Poison Mist for whatever enemies don't know we're there. And Pest Thread Spears as an additional damaging spell. This is the major reason why we put so many points into Faith, so we can get more damage out of this spell in particular, since nothing else cares about having a higher Faith stat. Plus, to stick with the actual sleep spell from the source material, you could replace the poison armament with sleep grease on occasions. With all that number crunching out of the way, let's smite some evildoers. And that is how you build an Oath of Redemption Paladin from D&D in Elden Ring. Did you like what you saw? What would you change to make this build more accurate to the source material? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this build, be sure to subscribe to see what other D&D subclasses I recreate in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye, adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. And if I don't see you tomorrow, have a wonderful day.